Hello and welcome to Preconnotation Points video Snark. I'm continuing my read-through of The Plan by Qwen Salsbury. Please make sure that you've seen the other videos in my Snark series about the book before you jump into this one. Chapter 24, Day of Employment 384. Emma establishes that it's Christmas Eve. I hope that they're paying her quadruple for making her be on a business trip over Christmas. Forget the promotion and raise. Just asking her to do this on Christmas is really asking too much. Anyway, Emma is upset because she found a box on Diana's desk with the exact same tag as the thing Alaric gave her the day before. What if I were to tell you that they probably mass-produced those things? Man, she would be angry at a random stranger for carrying around a box with the same tag. But then again, when has Emma ever been remotely reasonable? Making me want to take that damn box and wing it at her so it falls into her abyss cup bra and possibly aligns with Aslan in the battle for Narnia. What the f? Diana shows up 30 minutes late for a meeting with Emma. At this point, I have no idea how Diana manages to have a job if the only thing she's going to do is show up late, disregard everything everybody says to her, flirt and lie. And Lord, I sound like that awful millennial meme, but you know that it's true. Anyway, Emma did the second part of why she was asked on the business trip to make sure that the company is above board, and boy, did she find a bunch of shifty things. She gives Diana a report of her findings, and the conversation goes something like this. Emma, I found some shifty things in your business dealings. Diana, but we're not selling guns, Emma. Emma, I'm not saying that you're breaking the law, but the government has been enacting harsher penalties towards Diana. Get out of my office. Before Emma leaves, she notes the brand of bag that Diana has. I don't know shit about designer bags, but Emma makes it seem like one of the designers for the brand ended up in jail for doing the exact same stuff that Emma is accusing Diana of currently doing. And then before Emma can make her exit, Diana can't help but throw in one last parting shot about Alaric and the gift he gave her, although at this point I really couldn't care less if Alaric was boinking every single person in the building. That evening, Alaric tries to explain that it was a replacement, not a gift. I'm not used to explaining myself, he says. Then might I suggest not doing shifty things that might be viewed as you playing around? He goes on to explain that he accidentally broke a crystal business card holder she had on her desk. The incident coincided with the time that Emma called him, and she could hear Diana in the background, followed by a loud crash. And I guess Alaric felt bad about it, so he got her a new one. Emma then asks about what Diana said about Alaric earlier, that he used to be fun. Alaric insists that he's the same party animal now as he was before. Alaric goes on to say that he would never lie to her, but the problem is that Emma doesn't believe him about half of what he's saying to her, which makes me question why she wants to remain with him if she thinks that he's messing around with Diana, and then lying about it. At 9:30 that night, Emma is at a Christmas Eve party. Emma remarks on how nobody at the company must have children, and I wonder if anybody actually sleeps. If a party goes past 8, that's too late. Yes, even a holiday party. Before they got to the party, Emma tried to talk to Alaric about the report. Which one, you ask? Who knows anymore? Not this book, apparently, but he kept getting phone calls and it made them late to the party. As soon as they actually got there, Alaric vanished to who knows where. Emma ended up holding up the wall for a few hours before she went to the bar and started drinking. Eventually, she started to look for Alaric. Mitch pointed her in the right direction. Emma eventually finds him at 1 a.m. At what point in a business party in another state is it polite for you to say, F this, and just take a taxi home? Because anything way past 10 is way too late for me. Because anything past 10 is way too late for me, and forget 11. Anyway, she finds Alaric with some other guy and Diana. Like she has been, Diana is all over Alaric, and even as Emma hangs back with the others unaware that she's there, Alaric continues to treat Diana like the cockroach that she is. Emma is unreasonably upset over hearing that they've decided to go through with the merger, and I just don't understand any of it. She seems to think that she's failed with her plan, but wasn't her plan to get into Alaric's pants? Have the two of them not been smashing their bathing suit parts together for the past couple of nights? Does Emma not want to go home? I don't know where any of this is even remotely coming from. It sounds more like drama for the sake of drama to me. Emma says something to make her presence known. As usual, Diana tries to get Emma to leave, and Emma's all like, go get your own drink. Diana leaves, and Ulrich makes a joke about how much he hates Diana. I need to tell him how thoroughly I have f***ed up all that he has worked so hard for. History repeats itself. He may not be married, and I may not be the other woman, but I most likely have just cost him everything. Where is any of this even coming from? What in the name of sanity is she talking about? But before that can go anywhere, Diana randomly throws a bottle of champagne at Emma's feet because she apparently heard Ulrich's insanely tacky joke about pushing her off the roof. Don't think I will be waiting around for you when you finally get tired of screwing the help. Yeah, that's how I like my angry and butthurt. Ulrich starts to go after Diana, but Emma stops him, but only because Diana threw liquid at her and her feet are soaked in it, which is fair. As they go back to the ballroom to leave, Emma grabs a champagne flute to get a drink. Are you okay, Emma? You're not acting like yourself. Am I okay? Am I okay? Just flung champagne at me. No, I am not okay. And then, because Diana apparently didn't learn her lesson in regards to both of them, she approaches them again and is rewarded with a face full of champagne. And honestly, I don't know what she expected would happen. She literally threw a bottle at Emma's feet. By the time I return the empty glass to the table, Diana has found her bearings. She grabs a full glass and starts to toss it at me. Everything is a blur, but it seems Ulrich knocks her hand away as I duck to avoid it, and irony descends in full force. My slippery feet give just enough that, instead of avoiding the splash of one glass, I bump the tower and everything rains down on us. I don't even have words for this. Emma was acting a little bit childishly when she chucked the champagne into Diana's face. But jeez, it was in response to somebody chucking an entire bottle at her, and then Diana retaliates by starting to throw more at Emma. How is this woman not in prison? Emma feels embarrassed over the entire thing, even though she didn't start that fight. Ulrich just wants to usher her to the door. That's just it. There is no we. There is him and me and someone who doesn't even exist. Someone who does his bidding and gets his drinks. Where is any of this even coming from? Emma, you got your man. Don't ruin it because of whatever the you're doing right now. Talk about creating drama for the sake of creating drama. I think that what little plot that there actually was dried up some time ago, and now we've got to add in random problems that didn't even exist until a page ago, just to stretch this out into a full-length novel. And then she randomly says that she can't do this anymore and that she can't be with him and that she quits. What the is happening? Ulrich grabs Emma's arm and says that he doesn't want to chase after her always, which he hasn't exactly been doing any of that this entire time, but sure, we've gone well past the point of this story being battery, so you know what? Let's just keep adding sprinkles on top, okay? She gets Mitch to drive her back to the hotel. There she finds flower petals all over and a card that just says everything, which goes back to the card for the dress and how he didn't know what they were to each other. So yeah, Salsbury just pulled a random problem from the ether and plopped it into the story for no logical reason. Chapter 25. Day of Employment 372, 381, maybe 495, something. They all run together. Yes, that is the chapter title. Up until this point, all of the chapters have more or less had several hours between each chapter or each day, but chapter 24 ended with Emma arriving at the hotel. Chapter 25 starts in the exact second that we left off in chapter 24. Nipples, probably hard enough to puncture this silk camisole. I had to read this and so do you. Also, wasn't this in the prologue? Have we finally come full circle? Emma gets to the hotel room and finds the balcony door open, and since it's December 24th, well, it's after midnight, so it's Christmas Day now, the room is naturally freezing. Despite the fact that Emma left before Ulrich, he somehow managed to get back to the hotel before she did. Ulrich comes out from the balcony and demands to know why, and after that show at the party, I feel as though an explanation is in order too. Emma insists that she's not who Ulrich thinks she is and that she's been lying to him. We've been inside Emma's head this entire time, and I have zero idea what she's even talking about. However, Ulrich makes it seem as though he doesn't believe her when she says that she's been lying to him, which is beyond weird. Why would somebody lie about lying to you? My brain hurts and I smell burning toast. But Emma gets to the point and says that the person that she's adopted while working for him on the business trip is a lie. She's not some meek little lamb. I mean, she says this, but I have an entire book's worth of evidence to the contrary. But whatever. But Ulrich doesn't seem to understand what she's talking about. Still, he goes on to say that she could never deceive him. You know, you must know how I feel about you. His words barely carry. I nod. Yes, I know. Pretty sure anyway. I know how he feels because it is in every touch, in every look, in every breath and moment together, and every ache when apart. I know it. I know it because whatever I feel leaving him, coming from him, it affects me in the same way or more. She thinks all of this, and yet she's still so determined to think that everything that she's been working towards this entire time has failed. This is so much more than I was prepared for. I just wanted him to notice me. I still want it. I want it all. But I have made him fall in love with someone else, made him want someone else, someone who doesn't exist. This thinking is still coming from nowhere. It's like between 2 and 7 on Christmas Eve, Emma decided to self-sabotage her relationship. Because reasons. Emma lists a lot of things about herself that she's been putting on an act, including, of all things, that she didn't know how to brew coffee before she came on this trip, and that okay, this is really hard to get out, so I'll just say it, she straightens her hair. And I still don't know why she's so upset. I feel like she's a breath away from saying that her eyelids aren't actually gold, because Ulrich would be too stupid to tell otherwise. And Ulrich seems as confused as to where all of this is suddenly coming from as I am. He's kind of like, do you think I'm some kind of an idiot? And kisses her. But Emma is completely and utterly determined to ruin the singular good thing that she's got going on right now, and continues to push him away. And then Ulrich gets all serious and says that it's time for her review, which he amends to an exit interview when Emma reminds him that she quit. Ulrich asks her why she wanted to quit, but Emma seems to think that she was just bad at her job. And also, impact on my personal life. Personal life? What personal life? Her so-called personal life was eating frozen dinners with her roommate every night. Even Ulrich is like, you can't even answer a simple question about your personal life, Emma, in response to questioning her about it. But Ulrich then asks Emma if anybody had ever told her that she was doing poorly at her job. Failing to prevent a problem by sitting idly by is the same as creating the problem. I am guilty by omission. Again, she's self-sabotaging herself for no apparent reason. She just hates herself and probably feels as though she isn't entitled to be happy, so now she's pulling garbage from the ether to justify her insane behavior. They continue a bit of pointless back and forth for a little bit before he starts to list off a bunch of super creepy facts about her. It sounds like the stalker has met another stalker. They were both apparently stalking one another. What the f***? And then there's a random paragraph break, even though the time skip is less than a second. Bad writing is bad. To say that Emma is in shock over Ulrich's declaration that he's noticed her this entire time was an immense understatement. He is the B-2 of two hot bums. Not so much a cyborg, but an aerial strike drone. And we're back to the bizarre metaphors again. Great. Emma realizes that she almost threw away probably the longest romantic relationship that she's ever had, because reasons, and embraces him. And is not running in terror from the prospect of commitment. In fact, he seems to be jonesing for that C word like Cookie Monster would for a snickerdoodle. I had to read this, and so do you. After Emma thinks about this for an unholy amount of time in which the plot does not move forward at all, Ulrich comes to stand behind Emma at the balcony window. He says that on Emma's first day when he got a face full of her hair in the elevator, it was true love. He has always felt beyond my grasp. Too beautiful, too aloof, too holy. Yeah, I still don't get that asshole thing, or any of this really. If Ulrich was seriously that interested in asking Emma out, Why play all of these games? Why not just say, hey, want to grab a cup of coffee sometime? Instead, we get this hot mess of bullshit for like 200 pages. Emma then goes on and on about how she made a lot of questionable decisions in her effort to win Alaric over. And naturally, this leads to making out, but they both stop before it leads to more. Emma starts to shiver, and I would like to remind everybody that they're still standing in a room that Emma reported was freezing, and that they're both covered in champagne. But rather than to suggest that they both shower and change, Alaric starts to talk about how there should be an us, and then that leads to sex. And it just goes on and on and on, and it also closes the chapter. And, okay, so, we need to talk about that twist. About how Alaric apparently has been in love with Emma for as long as Emma has been in love with him. And I am down for this kind of mutual pining sort of dynamic, but my problem with this reveal is that it just kind of came out of nowhere. There was no build-up or anything of the sort towards it. The first time that we saw an actual interaction between Emma and Alaric was after Emma had been foisted into the role as his PA, and if you'll recall, his behavior towards her was borderline boorish at best, to the point where I kept repeating, "Why does this man still have a job?" When they were on the plane, that was the first time he ever actually did anything nice for Emma, but it's hard to view that as being man with a crush. If anybody was rude to my travel companion, I'd probably yell at the other person too. Later on, he seemed to care for Emma's well-being, but even I said in an earlier chapter, when Emma was not drunk at that party, his behavior seemed to be more of a big brother looking out for his little sister. Literally the first time that he gave any sort of indication that he cared for Emma in a romantic way was the day after she gave him head in the hotel hall, and it's kind of hard for me to judge the opinion of a man when he's thinking with his boy parts. Although having now learned that Alaric has had feelings for Emma this entire time brings into question some other events, mainly the hallway head scene. Emma and Alaric went into their separate rooms following that, but if Alaric did have feelings for Emma, why didn't he, I don't know, do literally anything then and there? He just accepted head from her in the hall, and then that's that? He wasn't even going to invite her into his room? Why? Literally, none of this makes sense. Up until the point in chapter 24, the book was awful, but it was more or less driven by things that were pretty understandable. I'm not going to say that you should go out and obsessively stalk some guy that you think is hot, but it's within the realm of believable. But then Emma just randomly snaps and the entire plot derails. Because reasons. And then Alaric dropped that onto Emma, and he's apparently been the blushing schoolboy tugging on pigtails this entire time, without once dropping any hints that he was in love with Emma. Again, because reasons. At this point, the only thing that I have to say is that at least this stupid book is almost over. I feel ready to pull my own hair out over how stupid that this is.